Gal,
Morning.
I had coffee with your father yesterday. I didn't know it was your father.
I was just going to say, I'm sure he told you.
He did. I've known him for a long, long time. What a wonderful gentleman.
He did mention that. I was talking with him every weekend.
Yeah.
You know, Mark, I have coffee with him all the time. He says he knows you. I finally figured it out who he's talking about.
Well, he's proud of his son, I'll tell you that.
That's nice. We're proud of you too.
Yeah.
Hey,
Pretty cool.
Morning. Morning. Good. Don't look at it, good coffee today. I need some favors. Okay.
There was.
I'm gonna rush off, so.
Jimmy does the pictures from the side.
We cannot meet.
I talked to Ashley.
Yeah.
Let's wait till after the election.
Okay.
Which makes sense.
That's wrong. Yeah, but that's fine.
And then
I need to talk to you about that anymore.
yeah.
I got some more information. Yeah. It's perfect.
Okay.
Is anybody going to Willow's by chance? Next day. You're not going back another day or more.
That's all the meetings are Friday. Heavenly Father, grant us the knowledge and the wisdom to make decisions that will benefit I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes of the October 9th control regular session. Moved by Carter. Second by Andrew. Roll call.
Supervisors and jury.
Aye.
Carter. Aye. Vann. Aye. Marshall.
Aye.
And Evans.
Aye. That's 5-0. Period of public comment. This is for the public comment on items that are not on the agenda. Seeing no raise to the podium, we'll close the public comment period. Announcement of closed session. Counselor?
The Board of Supervisors will not complete the closed session items in the time allotted. They will reconvene as time permits. They are considered item A, public employee performance evaluation, Government Code Section 54-957, Iowa, Director of Planning and Building Services. B, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54-956.9, subdivision A, 3 cases. Then, later in the day, at 1:30, the Board of Supervisors did not complete these closed items in the time allowed, but will be as time permits. These items involve conference with labor negotiator, Government Code Section 54-957.6, the agency negotiator, Bob Pizarro, employee organizations, department heads, management coalition, BSA, CCEA, unrepresented, Assistant Personnel Director, County Council, Personnel Director, Superintendent, and County Council.
Okay, thank you. We'll take the 905 item staff reports. This is for the staff to update the board on things going on in their department. Good morning. Morning, Jim.
A couple items. One is the CVGS, the gas company with the compressor station, has installed the surrounding roads, so that's good to have those completed. Just under the weather, so that's good to have Dodge Road, there's Paradise, McCausland, and also Southern Road. So really appreciate them getting on that, getting that done. We're working with them on a volunteer road, portion of 4 Mile Road. They're planning on starting that soon. There's some details that we need to work out with and stuff. So hopefully we can get that going before the weather turns any worse. One, we have an invitation we'd like to extend to the board, and also to various community members on Wednesday, November 7th, from 8:30 to 4. There's a presentation by DWR and FEMA, and this is for the flood management administrator information. Basically, it talks about what we'll be facing as the maps change and what kinds of regulations we're dealing with. It just gives information that might give community interest. And so if you would care to attend with that, it's open at no charge. There's a little registration, for example, which you can bring in and we can provide that to you.
How are you notifying the community on that?
How
I
do you-
haven't seen a flyer on that.
We attached one, I think it's sent over to all board members. It didn't make it.
Well, I didn't see it via email.
Oh, okay, that's what we sent by email.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen it either, Jim.
okay, well, we'll make sure that goes forward.
Where's it gonna be?
It'll be at the CIP in the conference rooms on Sunrise Boulevard.
And you say it's all day?
It's from 8:31 to 4, it's close. So you can attend the portions that you have time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Morning, board. Just like human services. Just a quick announcement that our department is doing the drive-through flu clinic on November 1st, 1 to 5 at the Colusa Fairgrounds. And it's open to everybody. I make that very clear. So there's no misunderstanding.
That's the person I
I know. So, and we anticipate, last year we probably had over 700 individuals that received their flu shots, and I anticipate more this year. So, and then the other announcement was our Colusa Glen and Trinity Community Action Partnership has a regional board meeting here in Colusa tomorrow. And just as a side note, we are taking the board members to see the mushroom plant and do a tour as well.
Any other staff?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. I'd like to ask if I could please add an agenda item on this that I came to know about on October 19th.
Okay. That would be,
It's for the Auditor Controller's Office, 1021 budget number, consider filling vacancy of accountant 2, permanent full-time, PF range 34, $3,195 to $3,884 per month, effective December 1st, 2012, and further authorize filling the vacancy created by the promotion if the successful candidate is within the Auditor Controller staff.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to bring it on. I said it rose after the agenda was posted.
moved by Marshall to bring on this item. Second by Vann. Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew,
Aye.
Carter. Aye. Vann. Marshall.
Aye.
And Evans.
Aye, passes 5-0, then let's place it.
Just
Yeah. Put it in front.
Well, hands in that.
Yeah.
I got it all right here, I know 7.
Yeah. Bringing it on at 9:07. So, pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman, because of the short notice of the resignation of that, the person holding that position, and they're leaving in a short period of time by the end of November, I would move that we fill the vacancy and promote from within if they have staff to that qualifies.
Moved by Marshall,
Second.
second by Carter. Any discussion?
Excuse me. I probably didn't hear it, but I just wanted to make sure that it was. Did you do a roll call when you did the first motion? You did? What was that?
You were in the back of the room. We don't have speakers.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew,
Aye.
Carter, Vann, Marshall,
Aye.
and Evans.
Aye. That's 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. 9-10 item, the sheriff. Consider approving addendum to agreement C06-276 between the County of Colusa and Advanced Document Concepts, U.S. Bank Equipment Finance, and add to the sheriff's department jail to the existing agreement for the addition of a Colusa FS-3640 MFP copy machine effective October 23rd, 2012, with the terms and conditions as set forth in the agreement authorizing the chairman to sign all related documents.
Basically, in an effort to consolidate everything all in one, I understand most of the county copiers here are the advanced documents. For some unknown reason before me, the jail copier has been with another company. I did do a price comparison, and advanced documents would be less expensive and it would be consolidated.
Great.
Handling business as one person.
No, appreciate that. We've been attempting to consolidate into a larger contract and it would help everybody. So, pleasure report. Moved by Vann. Second by Carter. Any comments? Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew, Carter, Vann, Marshall,
Aye.
and Evans.
Aye, that's 5-0. Item B, consider rescinding resolution number 12034, a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Colusa County, State of California, of designation of applicant's agent, resolution adopted on September 25th, 2012. Further, adopt a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Colusa County, State of California, designation of applicant's agent resolution and authorize the clerk to sign. Good morning.
Good morning, Board. Mike Godwin, Sheriff's Department. Fortunately, the one that we sent them, they changed their mind. They wanted some different verbiage, so I had to redo it. They changed the county we used to run the grant, now it's the DSCC, so they've been changing a lot of stuff and hopefully get it better.
County Council, you've seen the changes between the two, right?
Moved by Dan. Second by Andrew. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew, Carter, Vann, Marshall,
Aye.
and Evans.
Aye. That's 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll get it right this time.
Maybe
So
they'll
let's
get
change
it
it.
right.
They sent me a sample. It was 2 days before I sent it to the board to get to you guys. I didn't get anything prior to it being turned in, so thank you.
All right, moving along here, let's go to consent. We have 7 items on consent.
On item 1, we haven't received any more since then.
No, sir.
Okay.
Should, the appointment to, first operation be on consent as well?
So the appointment. Shouldn't it be on it then, on consent?
Which one?
Oh, no, the one that brought them in there now.
940 item.
Maybe not.
It's all done.
Is that,
Moved by Vann. Second by Andrew. Any questions? Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew?
Aye.
Carter? Aye. Vann? Aye. Marshall?
Aye.
And Ed?
Aye. Pass 5-0. Go to the 9:15 item. Probation. Item A, consider approving an agreement between the County of Colusa Probation Department and Scott S. Ham, MAI, for appraisal services regarding the Colusa County Juvenile Rehabilitation Facility effective October 23rd, 2012 through December 3rd, 2012, with terms and conditions as set forth in the agreement and authorized the chairman to sign. Morning, Bill.
Good morning. Good morning, Board. Basically, I guess part of my coming, there was the county assessor submitted papers to the state and TSA now, Board of State Community Corrections, indicating that the land was valued at X amount of money so that we could get the grant for the new juvenile facility. Since then, the state has rejected that, and says because there could be a conflict with the assessor having been being a county employee, and so therefore we have to have a private assessor do the assessment of the land. The cost still comes out of the grant, no additional cost to the county.
let the state know that we'll be farming out their assessments from now on, too, since we have such a conflict.
I'll pass that information.
Yeah, you did, just
Move for approval.
second with a little FYI. You can put a sticky note on there.
Okay. Moving second, there's a discussion. Roll call.
Supervisors Missouri? Carter? Aye. Vann? Aye. Marshall?
Aye.
And Evans?
Aye, that's 5-0. Item B, consider declaring a 1999 Chevy Malibu license number 1219669 as surplus property and authorize the chief probation officer and/or his designee to utilize the county-approved list of vendors for disposal and/or sale of said vehicle.
We've been told that had it checked and that it has a cracked lock and it's going to be more costly to repair than fix it. So therefore, and since this board was nice enough in the last one to give me 2 new vehicles, we're fine. We need no more vehicles. We just need to get rid of this.
Second by Andrew. This one been sitting over there forever.
That's
No,
gone.
this is another one outside.
Oh, the DAs. Yeah, that's gone. Finally.
There's a bunch of them.
Roll call.
Supervisors Missouri?
Aye.
Carter? Aye. Vann? Aye. Marshall?
Aye.
And Evans?
Aye, that's 5-0. Let's go.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay. You're being too efficient. Let's go to supervisor's reports. Supervisor Marshall.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I've attended numerous events lately. Most notable was the dinner at the Dome. In Marysville, that Recology invited all of us to, and it truly, they set up tables in the receiving area of their facility where they receive garbage.
That took dumpster diving to a whole new level.
But it actually was very nice, and it was well attended, and as you might expect, there were political folks there, but it was very nice. And Recology, and the intent of that was they had several promotions from within, and Joe Matz, who used to work out of Orville and Ron Butte, is now the head person for Recology in the Colusa Yuba Sutter district. So Joe has been worked very hard for us in the past, so it was a nice event. Secondly, I am happy to report that we were awarded, we received the award letter for HCV grant for expansion of the mushroom facility in the amount of $5,016,000 to change. So that project should go forward. That money will, as it's paid back, it's a loan to the Premier Mushroom, as it's paid back to the county, the $5+ million plus interest will stay within the county for us to use on more projects in the future. So we worked long and hard on that, and we're successful. So I appreciate your trust in me handling that. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Vann?
Put on the campaign trail. That's all I have to report. Imagine that.
All right, well, let's move on to the 920 item then, Public Works. Consider waiving the county's formal bid process and authorize the Director of Public Works to purchase a Tiger Model TM60S DC 60-inch side rotary mower in the amount not to exceed $22,500 for municipal maintenance equipment, from municipal maintenance equipment, to be funded from the current budget and utilizing the CMAS contract with the Department of General Services Procurement Division. Morning, Jim.
Good morning. Yes, the item here is to replace the mower. Mower we've had basically totally failed. It just never is in a maintainable condition. So we're one of the higher cost pieces of equipment in Public Works, and it would be appropriate to replace it. We'd like to use a CMAS bid schedule to do that.
Okay, so we're waiting for the bid process because you're using the state bid.
Right. And this is
Do you know how
yeah.
favorable we are when we waive bid process?
Moved by Drury,
Second.
second by Carter. This is one that's actually built for the job this time around.
Right, this is a more of a highway type mower. What we have is more of a torture type mower.
Thank you. Okay, roll call.
Supervisors Drury.
Aye.
Carter. Vann. Marshall.
Aye.
And Evans.
Aye. Pass 5-0. Thanks, Jim. Well, Supervisor Drury.
Depends on the campaign, but I'm on the building trail. Trying to work on that building every hour of the day. I did have a couple meetings, but I was going to my phone trying to figure out which one to do. Just can't remember. We might have a budget, I don't know, I can't remember. Not budget, but negotiations.
Yeah, we did.
But everything's been kind of calm, though. I mean, concerning the county stuff in my district.
Yeah.
I've been working in harvest and finally finished our rice. There's actually went flying on Sunday, and there's still probably at least 25% of the rice out there. It's actually kind of surprising how much is there. Also with One Stop, I had a special meeting there to look at some small business loans. And then I'm working on dust also for the sheriff to be in and probation.
Well, things have been fairly quiet with me, except for phone calls and, roads and the harvest.
Yeah.
We're beating up equipment. Well, it's harvest, guys. You guys are beating the roads up, so. Anyway, but still, anyway, getting those mostly right now. All right, let's go to the 925 item. Auditor Controller, consider approving inter-budget transfer number only one. Wow, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. What happened?
This is just a formality for the contingencies you approved for the general facility.
Moved by Vann. Second by Andrew.
This last year's, right?
Yes.
Fine. Is that the end?
Well, that was simple enough.
I guarantee I'll have the answer.
I mean, we're going to run into the next fiscal year.
Roll call.
Supervisors Drury. Carter. Vann. Marshall.
Aye.
And Evans.
Aye, pass 5-0. Item B, consider approving CSAC's Excess Insurance Authority Medical Malpractice Program Extended Participation Agreement between the County of Colusa and CSAC EIA effective October 1st, 2012 through October 1st, 2014, with terms and conditions as set forth in the agreement, authorize the county risk manager to sign all necessary documents on behalf of the board. Should that have been September 30th, not October 1 on the expiration? Just seems strange for day to day.
I think that's the way they stated it in the backup, this is like the average, October 1st.
All right.
It is time to redo this. Peggy's the expert on this, so I'm looking to back up, you could adjust this, I hope this answers your questions, but they are requiring in writing this year to do this.
And what, is there an increased percentage that we have to come out of pocket on this?
I'm not aware of that.
Mark, you were in all those
Yeah,
discussions.
and they're negotiating with some reinsurance people on a lot of these issues. We had some of our major companies that we reinsure with, by reinsurance for CSAC EIA, that are dropping out and unstable. So to answer your question, Kim, there may be a small increase, and that's not just in Vann. I think we're going to experience that across the board on all insurance levels. So
what Bruce was doing.
but it's consistent industry-wide. So I'll move for approval.
Move by Marshall.
Second.
Second by Herb. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Supervisors Maduri. Carter. Vann. Marshall.
Aye.
And
Aye, passed 5-0. And we're going to schedule again with any state, federal legislation, or general budgetary matters for discussion.
Depending on, you want to do state legislation real quick and budgetary, can we do them together?
Yes.
Depending on what happens on election day in regard to Proposition 30, when the legislature will be called back into session after the election to address the funding issues for the current realigned programs and the proposed realigned programs. I want to thank the Budget Committee for hearing me jump up and down and monitoring. I really don't think 30 is going to pass, so I think we're going to be in a situation where we're going to have some serious funding constraints as far as backfilling the requirements, the new program requirements that the state's going to put on us. Again, they're not going to remove any of the mandates. 30 not passing does not remove the mandates that bring first time on us. It just ensures, takes out the guarantee of funding. Though I'm not advocating for 30 by any stretch of the meaning, don't get me wrong. I don't think that 30 would block the funding in long term anyway. So I think we're going to be in a spot about mid-year next year where we're having to pick up the costs for a lot of health, human services, mental health, and then more of the 109. There's no realignment costs. So they'll have to backfill a several $billion, well, multi-billion-dollar budget shortfall after the election. And that will, again, mostly on the back of us. Very tough. A lot of counties are really struggling. Well, we are only here, like I said, we were talking last Tuesday or Tuesday before last, we're the only county in the state that's cutting layoffs for those.
Right.
Or just cutting departments back. So that's just going to get more extreme. So we're in the same situation that other counties are pretty quick. But we'll find out between about November 15th and Christmas what the shift back there is. There won't be. Yeah. Oh, SRA, let's do SRA real quick, since we're still here. I think SRA fees, I think that falls under state and federal legislative and budgetary matters.
This is what it looks like when you get
Did you have your bill there?
a nasty grant.
Okay.
No, it's already up to 165.75.
Yeah.
Wait, it went up already?
Well,
Oh, I didn't pay.
no, look,
On purpose.
yeah, I grabbed stolen bills from him the other day. It's gonna be $15 per about every 20 days that they're gonna charge you for not paying your 150. Well, Gary's case is 150, actually my dad's more than that, but yours is 150. dollars. If you want to file a protest to this, you have to pay it first. Howard Jarvis taxpayers and RCRC, we're gonna call a special meeting to vote whether or not we would like to be, join the lawsuit. So you can't be named on the litigation until you pay. So I know I called downstairs to make sure we were paying if there was any county facilities that fell in the SRA area that we had to pay. I want the county to pay so that the county can then file a protest procedure so we can be on the lawsuit as one of the participating parties. Suing the state. Yeah, we're gonna pay.
Well, you found that we had some,
We do have some.
the substation.
Yeah, I don't know where Kyle's bill is gonna go. I'm assuming it's gonna go to Forest Service because that's whose ground, or whose name the ground is in, but that was the one I looked for first. So I just wanna remind people to file the protest procedures, you do have to pay $150. And there still is no, paper trail as to what happens if you don't pay, as far as is the county the lien authority or is the state DOE going to come after you? So that hasn't been addressed yet either.
State DOE.
Well,
That's
they
where the
have,
bill comes from.
that's where the bill comes from, but the authorization language wasn't in the original legislation that is giving them the right to lien property if you don't pay it. They'd have to come back down to the counties and get our assessed for lien properties. So, but I know nobody wants to pay it, and I'm not telling you what you should do, but the only way you can file a protest procedure is by paying it, so.
So there you go.
But there's the groups are just waiting for people to file their protests, so we have enough people to be named by class action. So as soon as that gets done, Jarvis and a couple other groups will be filing. And I'm pretty sure we'll talk RCRC and join the litigation, I'm not sure.
Jarvis
about
already
this.
was fine.
They might have carried. So this was a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, that's what the Nancy grant
Hey,
was like.
here you go.
Whatever, next year.
Plus your $50.
No, not even. There's anything given to
I
me.
have faith that Mr. Evans will not be paying us.
Not anytime soon. All right. I want to see him pack that piece of dirt off. All righty, where are we at? I know it's library. The appropriate 9:30 item, county library. An update on the library ADA restroom projects at the Arbuckle and Williams Library. Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning, how are you doing?
Great.
Great, me too. Glad to see a little rain and a little sunshine too. I came to you today to update you on the building projects that were approved by you about 15 months ago for the Arbuckle and Williams Library. We went through a lot of paperwork in order to start the project. The project was actually started in June of this year and completed in July, and we passed the final inspections by the USDA as well as the county in July. Those restrooms have been in use now for 3 months, and they are serving us very well. So we're very, very pleased to have had that. I did take some pictures, but didn't get them off my cell phone to be able to share them with you. But I can tell you that I've been in Arbuckle several times, and people open the door, and before they even take a step in, they go, wow, because it's just so much larger than it used to be. They used to be about, it felt like 3 by 3, it was probably larger than that, but now they're more like 10 by 10. And so there's definitely room for someone with a wheelchair to get in there and use all the facilities they need to. So that is my general report, unless you have any specific questions about that.
Okay, well, thank you. And we'll move on to item B, consider approving use of $9,325 from contingency funds by the library to make the required match for USDA CMG funds to fully fund additional improvement projects for our Arbuckle and Williams Library.
The funds that we received from the U.S. Department of Agriculture were actually geared for us to have projects that totaled $61,000 for the 2 facilities, and we only used $48,500. The Board of Supervisors approved last year to put in $50,000 into the planning and building department budget to fund the project, and then we were to use $10,000 from the general funds that were given to the library for building improvements. We used 48,500 of the funds that we received in the facilities budget, and we used 9,800, I believe it was, for the building plans that we actually had to have done. And so we used those funds. However, we have been reimbursed by the Department of Agriculture for the full amount of funds that were due to us from them on having paid the bills and completed the projects meeting their specifications. And that total, I believe, was 27,500. The last 10% of that is in the process of being transferred this month. And so all of those funds would have gone back into, and this is where I get confused, and so Robert will bill me out if I say it wrong, but we're back into either contingencies or the general fund. Those might be the same thing. I apologize if I'm wrong. And so the county has been reimbursed. What we found out, what we were notified in late September was that they really wanted us to use the full amount of funds that they had authorized to us, which for us would be another $4,750. Because our bids came in less than the $61,000, because our bids came in at $48,000, their match for those two libraries, for those two projects, would total another $4,750. And we would need to come up with our match of that. And the total amount for that, I took my chart, would be just to make the basic match that's required to do, if we're going to use these funds to do extended projects, would be another $6,575. I met with the planning and building department with both Steve and Randy. We talked about several projects that could be used. The funds that were available had to be used on these original libraries that they were assigned to. So we couldn't combine them. Yeah, we couldn't combine them to use one library. And so what we did was we talked about the Arbuckle Library. In the current budget that's been approved, the projects that have been approved for Arbuckle is a replacement of the roof this year. And so I said, I think the next thing that needs to happen in Arbuckle is to paint the outside, because the bottom third of the building, the paint is just peeling off, it's bare wood. And that's not a good state for the building overall. So we, Randy went out and got some costs for the paint in order to really be able to cover that, including red yellow siding on two sides of that. We paint that the same color as the rest of the building. And we have some options if we want to paint it the same regular color, or if we want to go with a different color. We thought we might try to get some feedback from the community. So the cost for that project, and I gave you a chart. It's not in the it's not in the printed agenda, but it is in what I submitted to you. The cost for that project then would be $4,750, and the contingency needed for us to meet that match would be $3,000.87. And I apologize, I just realized I made a mistake in the numbers I was quoting before. The amount of funds that we have that are available for us as a leftover from the original project is $5,925. So I had said $4,750. I made that mistake, I apologize. As we looked at so we're proposing that we give you basic contingencies to be able to meet the match from the USDA, then we would propose that we would paint the Arbuckle building for the funds that are available for that project. When we looked at Williams, there are the outstanding needs we talked about for the Williams Library have been to replace the lights, because the lights are no longer really available. They were expensive to replace. And we talked about the roof. And actually, we funded for the roof and for the lights to be replaced in the current fiscal year, according to what I was told by planning and buildings. So the next project we looked at was we looked at the air conditioning and heater, the HVAC that was associated with the building. The one that's on the port side of the building is the original one and is not in good shape, but we don't know how that part of the facility is going to be used. So Randy suggested, rather than approaching that particular project at this time, that we look at replacing the windows that are on the library side, which are single pane, and they've tried coating on them, they're pretty nasty. This would give us more energy efficiency on the library side. The windows at the back, the sun just beats down on that side, that's the south side. And it really beats down in there, and it would open up visibility and just the whole feel of the library. And it would make it more comfortable. So the proposal for that, the quotes that we got came in, I received 2 quotes that Randy got, and they came in about $10,000. And so we're asking, which is more than the funds that would be available if you just met the minimum match. The minimum match that would be needed to do the Williams project would be $3,487.50. And but we would need another almost $3,000 to be able to complete that project. And so we're asking for a total of $9,325 from contingency funds to be able to complete these projects and take advantage of the almost $6,000 that we get from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We do have the option of choosing not to do anything, and those funds would go back to the Department of Agriculture. The supervisor did send me an email and let me know that they would really like for us to use the funds. So.
These new windows on the Williams facility would replace the ugly, can't see through covers that we have on existing windows?
Yes, that is correct. Those large ones that are in front of the building, which have the window elements like this.
Yeah.
They would still be replaced with a similar type window in terms of the shape of it, and the windows at the bottom would be able to open, because there are certain times of the year where it's very desirable to have those open. But yes, it would replace.
But we do away with that covering that
yes.
prohibits you from seeing in. I think that's a safety issue as well.
Okay.
You know, because from outside, the police can't see into the library.
There was a coating, I think, that was like a
Yes,
sunshade, and it has peeled off, and there's kind of glass, kind of a gasoline type look to it.
Right. Okay, and if I'm hearing you right, this does not include HVAC on the old Justice Court side, is that correct?
That is correct.
Because we had a failure in that system last week,
Okay,
so, okay.
okay,
So we need to talk to Randy about that.
okay.
Don't know, but it's old.
I think it's 51 years old. I think it's original to the building.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Wendy. Over the board.
I'll move for approval for $9,325 from contingency.
Moved by Marshall, second by Gary. Any other discussion?
Thank you guys very much, and I appreciate you talking to the community members about the paint on the library. Ronnie and a few other people who've been working hard out there to touch base with them.
Yeah, that's some really great support, and we'll go back to that.
Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew,
Aye.
Carter, Van,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
and Evans.
Aye. 5-0, item C, consider directing the Director of Planning and Building to return with request for proposals for the Williams Library window replacement project at a future date.
Move.
Moved by Marshall,
Second.
second by Carter. Any other discussion?
Steve, were any of those energy efficient programs that we were involved in, would any of them help with the cost of windows? Remember I know PG&E made a pass through.
Not the PG&E
Okay,
program.
I just didn't know if there was any other energy efficient programs that would.
I apologize, Steve, I didn't see you sneak in. Did Randy happen to communicate with you the extent of the HVAC failure on the Justice Court side?
Yes, Wendy told me pretty clearly too. It's aged, the roof needs to be re-roofed, and at that time, that's when Randy said that that's the appropriate time to change that, and it needs to change that.
Yeah, we need to check into that, because once the community center folks move out, I think we have a use for that side, so.
But it's important, he noted that you don't want to re-roof that library and then go back in and tear the roof up.
Right. Okay.
How much space is over there in the on the general, or on the court side?
Quite a bit. We have a proposal from Bill's from probation. We're used to that facility.
I believe it's a little less than 1,500 square feet.
There's what used to be the courtroom. There's a pretty good sized meeting room. And then there's reception area and 2 small offices and a bathroom. So,
Well, it's easily twice the size of this, in my opinion.
meeting room?
The whole thing,
Yeah,
I
probably.
mean, everything.
Yeah.
With the rooms in the back. Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye.
Van. Marshall.
Aye.
And Evans.
Aye, that's 5-0. Thanks, Wendy.
Okay.
9:35 item, Ag Commissioner Williams Migrant Farm Housing, update the activities related to the implementation of the CDBG grant received for the improvements to the Williams Migrant Farm Show.
Good morning. How are you guys today?
Great.
Just wanted to give you an update on what's going on there in the timeline and how we're proceeding with things. We sent out requests for qualifications for the grant administrator and the project engineering and design. We received the proposals and we have chosen for our grant administrator, we have chosen Dave Wilkinson. And for our engineering and design, we've chosen hydro scientists. And so both of those bring a wealth of experience and knowledge about both the centering on the type of project that we're doing. So we're very pleased. They're in the process of preparing their contracts and whatnot. So that's happening right now. And what our basic timeline is we plan to have our documents for the work there out to bid in mid-January. And hopefully I'll be here in mid-February bringing those proposals to you guys for us to make a choice for our contractor on that. And then we plan to start construction in early March. And we have a real good timeline. We would like to, we won't have this done before the center vote because it's just not quite enough time. We plan to have it done by July 1. And so part of all this planning is a workaround for the system while the people are living in the migrant center from April through when it's all done in July. So just wanted to let you guys know where I'm at with things.
Have you guys asked the city of Williams to waive their fees for?
We have not asked them yet, but we have a meeting on the 31st when we're bringing all the players in this project, and the city of Williams will be there also. And they've been very good at cooperating with us on this project, so
And
we'll
you
be
might
for the
have,
best.
you might have to formally request to their city council that they waive their
Okay,
fees.
I will do that. So, any questions on that?
That's on the 31st, Joe?
The 31st.
You know
So
the
a week
time?
from tomorrow.
You know the time?
Do you know? 10 o'clock.
10? Wait.
Yes. And we're sending out all the meeting invites to that.
Would you send me one?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Joe.
9:40, appointments. Maxwell Public Utility District Board, consider filling the vacancy on the Maxwell Public Utility District Board of Directors. None received.
Correct.
Okay. Go item B, first I, Colusa Children and Families Commission. B1, consider accepting the resignation of Ginger Harlow from first five Colusa Children and Families Commission effective June 20th, 2012.
She's actually been in place as the executive director for first time. Oh, so she's now, so I'll move to accept her resignation.
Moved by Carter, second by Vann. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye.
Van. Marshall. And Evans.
Aye. That's 5-0. Item B, consider appointment of Kimberly Knoll to the first five Colusa Children and Families Commission, representative of Nurturing and Early Childhood Development, to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Ginger Harlow effective through May 14th, 2013.
Second.
By Vann, second by Carter. Discussion. Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew,
Aye.
Carter.
Aye.
Van. Marshall.
Aye.
And Evans.
Aye. 5-0. Item 3, consider appointment of Bonnie Davies to the First Audit Colusa Children and Families Commission representative of the Department of Health and Human Services to fill the expired term of Nancy Perry Dixon effective May 13, 2012 through May 12, 2015. And applications received with Bonnie Davies.
So moved.
Moved by Carter, second by Drury.
Oh, is your husband not here? I was gonna ask him to speak.
Not present
No,
today.
that's not okay.
Roll call.
Supervisors and Drury,
Aye.
Carter,
Aye.
Vann, Marshall,
Aye.
and Evans.
Aye, that's 5-0. 9:45, now recessing from the Board of Supervisors and sitting as the In-Home Supporting Services Authority, IHHS. Consider reappointment of Carla Rhea to the In-Home Supporting Services Advisory Committee effective November 18, 2012 through November 17, 2014. And the application received Carla Rhea. Anybody else?
No, sir.
So moved.
Moved by Drury,
Second.
second by Carter. Any discussion? Roll call.
Supervisors and Drury,
Aye.
Carter, Vann, Marshall,
Aye.
and Evans.
Aye. That's 5-0. Now, recessing from the IHHS Services Authority to reconvene as the County Board of Supervisors. We'll take the 9:50 item. Colusa County Resource Conservation District, item A, a presentation regarding impacts of invasive weeds. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning. Sounds Gary. Good morning. Started this morning. How are you all? So I'm here to talk to you about invasive weeds and the impacts they have on the landscape in Colusa County, and to ask the Board of Supervisors if they would consider signing a memorandum of understanding with the Colusa County RCD recognizing the impacts of invasive weeds. So I'm going to talk a little bit about invasive weeds shortly, briefly, before getting to the MOU. Just a little bit of background on invasive weeds. So the definition of an invasive weed is it's a non-native species that spreads rapidly, and it can cause environmental harm, economic harm, and/or harm to human health. The California Invasive Plant Council estimates that invasive weeds cost California about $82 million a year, and that's just for control efforts, monitoring, and outreach. If you combine the on-the-ground impacts of invasive weeds, they estimate it costs the state into the billions of dollars. And so some of those on-the-ground impacts of invasive weeds in Colusa County, they degrade range and cropland, which affects our agricultural economy. Many of them will invade our creeks and streams, causing erosion, sedimentation, and flooding issues. They degrade natural habitats and reduce biodiversity, which leads to just a really unhealthy landscape. They alter natural processes such as stream flows, wildflower blooms, native species regeneration, and a healthy rangeland function. Several species are also considered fire hazards, so they can exacerbate wildfires in our area, and many of them utilize excessive amounts of surface and groundwater. Also, there are several species that have extensive root systems that can harm city and town infrastructure such as sidewalks, pipes, foundations, that type of thing. So my work at the RCD, I put together a GIS map of invasive weeds in our area. So I worked with NRCS and local landowners. We came up with 8 species that are of most concern in our area. I don't know if you guys got this in your packet.
We did.
So these are probably at least the top 8 species that we're focusing on. So you've probably seen some of these. Some of you have probably seen all of them.
The giant reed, the Arundo, salt cedar, those two you'll see along our waterways. Everybody's seen the yellow stripe thistle, I'm sure, it's everywhere. The barb goat grass is mainly in our rangeland areas. The tree of heaven, you see that in our there's a big stand near the high school. That's one of the weeds that has the extensive root systems. It's very damaging. They also spread really fast. Perennial pepperweed is all over our croplands. The water primrose, you just see it, yeah, just covering the irrigation ditches. You can't even see the water. And the purple star thistle is also a bad species in our rangelands. So the best strategy to get these things under control, they call it early detection and rapid response. So people need to be on the ground, finding them when they're spreading, finding new populations, and get on top of them right away. Unfortunately, with the state of our economy, funding for weed control and weed management has been pretty much non-existent over the last few years. So I'm here today just to ask the board if they would consider signing a memorandum of understanding just to recognize the effects of these weeds, to have somewhat of a partnership so there's open communication, and the RCD would provide as much education and outreach as we can to landowners so that they can take voluntary efforts to eliminate weeds on their property, at least until there's funding available at some point, who knows. So, and I think you all got that MOU in your packet. I don't know if do you need me to read that to you? Or?
Not yet, Mary. Do you know is Joe doing anything in sites this year for the Purple Star?
We used to receive weed funding from the CDFA in the amount of about $16,000 to $17,000. It was baseline funding for our county. We did not receive that funding this last fiscal year, and we will not receive it. And in fact, there is no weed program in CDFA currently. Although it's been disbanded, employees have gone to other departments, and it is shut down. So we will receive nothing.
Do we know the status of, if not, actually, we were at least attempting to get a handle on the Purple Star Thistle up in the sites area. Do we know if where's that at?
We did not work on it this year. And that's the hard part with these weed projects, is weed funding. You got to do a lot of work. And as you well know, the ability for Star Thistle to reproduce in 1 or 2 years, you've wasted 10 years in the past. And so we don't have it in the budget. We didn't have money for it, and we had not planned to do that project this year. Is where we're at. If you would like me to do that project, I'd be more than happy to, because it's easy to do. We have everything in place, and it'd be really easy to start it up again. But
I'm just curious if there was any monitoring, if we had it, knocked back to 40 acres total of all the 5 sites, or where it was at.
I will get that information exactly where it started and where we're at when we abandoned it this year. I'll let you know what the numbers were.
Well, why don't you bring in some numbers too as far as the cost, like, moderate containment, a little bit more aggressive, and let us look at the numbers, and maybe we can find a way to put some funding into it, because I don't want to waste, like you said, the 10 years that you've put into it, and then it's going to cost us twice as much in 2 years to address something we're not fixing now.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't you run some numbers and see, come up with a couple different proposals and see, low, medium, and high, as far as, what would help, and, work with Public Works too, to see, because I know, a lot of these, just thinking about the arbor alone, what it does to the drainage. I mean, it rips apart, sidewalks and drainage. And so maybe the 3 of you, 3 of your shops can get together and come up with a collective proposal, not just each individual shop, but something together.
Sounds great.
So,
That's a great idea.
And I was, Mary Ann and I had spoken, and we were going to talk to you also. We're looking at trying to go after some grants. I'm sure you're doing the same thing, but we're right on the verge of getting together on trying to look for some other grants for this work.
Well, and there's not, more than likely, there's not going to be any type of money, like I said,
It looks like there may be some stuff coming out for grants, amazingly enough, yeah, so we're watching for that, and we want to be ready for that, but we'll put the numbers together for you on that. I mean, I come to work every day and drive by acres and acres of tall white top, which is a perennial peppercress, and I walk outside the door of the ag department.
That's right there.
And there it is, and, you know, some of the other commissioners have driven through the county and accused me of having a tall white top sanctuary here, because we haven't dealt with it, and it's one that's just spreading like crazy, like Mary was saying. It's just, these weeds are amazing at what they can do and where they are, so.
And if you don't get the control, like you guys were saying, it just ends up costing more and more.
What is, it's gonna, we're gonna have to fix whatever it destroys in the process. So let's see if we can find a way to backfill some funding there.
Great.
And, you know, like I said, a moderate level, medium, and then an aggressive. You know, 3 different proposals, and let us look at it and see what we can do.
Excellent.
But make sure you guys make sure you're getting all the departments that have any, you know, like Mary, Jim, you guys do it all together, please.
Great, absolutely.
Okay.
Also,
Yes.
one more thing, your time. I know on some public lands, there's like on Colusa Weir, there's a brand new little bunch of Arunda. And it's like, is there any way that, you know, when you have that small outbreak,
Yeah, that's when you want to get it.
that's when you want to
Yeah.
get it. Is there any way to work, probably the state's going to say we don't have money, but possibly, maybe we should ask and say, look, you know, when you have your dozer out there, or just grab that out there. Is there, I think talk to DWR, I've got some
Certainly,
contacts
opening
in
a
Southern
conversation with, yeah.
You know what, in all seriousness, in some other jurisdictions, they assess some of the state and federal ground for weed eradication through the, I've got to notice, long story, but there are some local, I know Rancho, look at Rancho Cordova. Rancho does it, where any ground that is, it's either county, state, or feds, and they have in there, when they do their weed eradication, they do basically bill the state or the fed property on what they're having to do as far as weed eradication. I know Rancho Cordova does it, but I was gonna say, call the refuge too. They have a pretty aggressive weed program out there to keep things in check. Maybe there'd be some way of partnering up with them. Too, these guys out here are great, out of Colusa Refuge.
They are great.
So maybe finding a way to bring them in the fold too.
Anything else under the presentation side? Okay, item B, consider approving a memorandum of understanding between the County of Colusa and the Colusa County Resource Conservation District to provide weed management and education within the Colusa Basin watershed effective October 23, 2012, with terms and conditions as set forth in the MOU and authorizing the chairman to sign. Okay, I just have a question.
Yes.
And I recognize that you're doing the Colusa Basin watershed. Is there anything that we would be sideways with any grant that you're functioning under? If the 2 places in here, it wouldn't just be open space lands in Colusa County, period, not just the Basin watershed?
So,
In the MOU.
Instead of
yeah,
saying
so
the
it's
Basin
just Colusa
watershed,
County.
just say the county instead of the Basin watershed.
On agriculture and open space lands in Colusa County, period, and to recognize the residents of Colusa Basin watershed.
Yeah, because actually, I'll be, after the end of this year, I'll just be focusing on.
I noticed that, but I just was, there's 2 paid places here, you know, like item E under the statement of work, you know, species in Colusa County. If it didn't impact the grant that you're working under or something, I would rather see it just Colusa County, period.
Okay, I just want to ask.
And then we, anyway. Yeah. All right, the board.
Reach out to the water districts and the drainage.
Yeah, the stakeholders should be agreeing to this as well.
I have a motion by Carter.
Second.
Second. By Dan, discussion, yes.
Yeah, stakeholders, the water districts, the landowners, I would hope that they would enter into some kind of agreement to do this as well. So it's not falling on the county to spray weeds on private property and clean out the Glen Colusa Irrigation District ditches
And actually, that's there's no obligation on the county.
I understand, but I can see where this is going, because if there's no state and federal funds available, yes, you're gonna be standing right at that podium here in a while saying, oh, we got this great project, but we need $100,000.
So would you like to see maybe at some point this amended to include those other?
I would like to see their buy-in, because they are the recipients of this gesture.
And so we have the ag department involved already and
Well,
talk to public works.
But I would have to guess that the ag department doesn't have star thistle growing in their parking lot.
But we have Heatherly.
So, I mean, but you understand what Mark's,
Yes.
overall, I mean, go get the water.
You know,
district,
stakeholders have to have some buy-in.
Yeah. And actually, I'm writing the watershed management plan for the Colusa Basin watershed and do have buy-in and invasive weeds is part of that plan and do have buy-in from a whole range of stakeholders in the area in that plan. And it includes weed management.
A financial buy-in.
Yeah.
Because if I'm gonna
Well-
if we're gonna pay to spray purple star thistle on somebody's private land so they have better grazing lands, the neighbor that we're not doing it
No, I
is gonna have a
understand.
problem with that. We are stewards of the public's money, all of the public.
No, I understand. And we're not asking for money right now, so.
That's Mark's point.
But you'll be back. Yes, you will. I've been down there. I've been to this rodeo once before.
That's Mark's whole point. Thank you, Mary, for bringing that up.
I won't be back.
Don't bring up ammunition, please.
Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew, Carter.
Aye.
Van.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
And Evans.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patty. All righty.
You got a good job now, Mary.
10 o'clock.
Good luck, Matt. Did you get the memo? You don't come to the board meeting now unless you want something to do.
Are you going to the RCD conference?
Yes.
We'll talk.
Joe, don't run away.
We're having a meeting on this in 5 minutes at Tommy's.
All
Thanks.
right. 10 o'clock item, Mendocino National Forest, an update of Mendocino National Forest current project status in Colusa County for fiscal year 2012. Morning, Eduardo.
Good morning, Gary. Good morning, Supervisors. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to come and provide this update of the Rhinestone Range System for the Mendocino National Forest. The first one I wanted to provide you an update on was, of course, as you might recall, this last summer in July, we had a large wildfire that took place on the Rhinestone District, my district here in Mendocino, in Colusa County, which actually was the first big fire that we had in this last fire season, not just in the Mendocino, but the first big one that occurred in California. And then afterwards, you started to hear about all the other fires occurring in the northern part of the state. It was quite the show. Gary can probably add to some of that since his home was not too far from where the fire took place. And it did get in close proximity to the communities going forward. But I believe that his international team that managed that fire did a great job in keeping that from coming to those communities. And it was a cooperative effort with Cal Fire and many other agencies that were involved in suppressing that fire. We have done quite a bit of suppression work or suppression repair work that took place as a result of the fire. We're still doing some rehabilitation work out there to minimize the impact of the resources, and that will continue on for some time to come. The fire area is still within the closure order that's been in effect since July. I am starting to look at reassessing the need to or exploring the possibility of modifying the closure orders, maybe allowing foot traffic to occur in there, but we do still intend to keep motorized traffic from there to allow for time to season over the repair work that took place in some of the roads and trail systems. We have quite a bit of a trail and road system within the fire perimeter. It's It's a challenge to try to keep people off the main routes and I go through there. It would be a law enforcement nightmare to try to do that. So our approach is, in order to protect that suppression repair work that took place and the resources out there, is to keep the fire rights vehicles out of there. Because we have, just with the fire that took place, and then if you haven't seen it, many of you haven't seen it because we've had it under closure order, but there are certain vantage points you can see from outside the closure area. You can see what it did, and then there's like a moonscape out there. So we're concerned for impact of the resources there. You start getting uncontrolled activity in off the roads or off the trails. We do anticipate that sometime in the spring we'll lift the closure order to allow the trails to be used again, the roads to be used again. Our specialists indicate that should be ample time to get that closure order at that time. But in the meantime, I'm looking at allowing for at least foot traffic to go in there. Let's see what else. I also want, and if there's any questions regarding that, we can, I'll be open to questions at the end of my presentation here. But I do want to also mention, as part of that experience that we had this last summer was, and I'll commend the community of Stony Ford and surrounding communities, their supporting cooperation we have. We have public meetings every week to inform them of what was going on, and everybody appreciated that. We had good turnouts. I was really pleased with the performance of the incident management team that managed that fire. How well the job they keep our communities informed. In terms of other projects or projects that are occurring on the grandson district of Mendocino within Colusa County, in 2012 we didn't have any timber sales that took place. We did have one that was completed, a specific timber sale at the very beginning of this year that was completed. But at this time, we have no actual timber sales in fiscal year 12 that took place within Colusa County. However, we are looking at salvage opportunities within the mill fire. In fact, we were just out there a couple of weeks ago with industry looking at the potential for salvage operations. There seems to be some interest on the part of industry to consider those operations. Right now, my staff are assessing the opportunities there, and in fact, I'll be this afternoon to get a briefing on what those opportunities might be. At minimum, we're looking at roadside hazardous tree salvage operations. Look at maybe category exclusion, to streamline the process and make it happen as quick as possible. And also at reforestation needs, that's also being further assessed, so we know how many trees to order for the next several years of reforestation in that particular area. The one thing that I would say is that even with the salvage opportunities, there's always a potential to be challenged by external organizations. We do have 3 timber sales, or 2 timber sales on hazardous tree reduction project in Tama County that just recently got litigated by an environmental organization. So we're collecting all the information for our lawyers to take that to court. And one of those projects was a salvage operation in Tama County, and so that's on hold until we can get through this litigation process. In 2012, we didn't do a lot of hazardous reduction work, and I guess maybe we could say that for the Hillfire area, but not that wasn't prescribed burning, that was wildfire. But in terms of prescribed burning activities, we didn't complete a lot of acres in Colusa County, about 350 acres of hazardous reduction work, but we are anticipating a larger acreage treatment in 2013. One of those projects down in the Little Stony area, I think Gary, you're a part of that, where we received, or the RCD, Resource Conservation District, received grant money to do field reduction work in that area. So we're going to be working with that group to accomplish that work. And there's some additional field reduction work that we're planning in Colusa County, including some blade burning work that we also did in 2012. Many of you are aware, or you're aware also that this last year was the the 1-year extension that Congress provided for the Title I, Title II, Title III funding to the counties, and that included in there the Title II part that can be used for options that benefit national forests. And and we have a resource advisory committee that looks at proposals for recommended funding. Gary is part of that resource advisory committee, and I, again, thank you, Gary, for your active participation in the last number of years that you've been involved with that. And we did approve a number of projects that will benefit the national forests, including some recreation projects, some hazardous tree reduction work, habitat work sorts. And last year we did, the previous year we did fund some equipment for the local volunteer fire department in Stony Point as well. Thanks to the resource advisory committee and their support for those kinds of proposals that come in. Also, back to the no fire area, that's a really important area for the district, for the forest. It's a prime location for off-highway vehicle recreation, has been for a number of years. So that's one of the impacts of the fire is having, but we are looking again to reopen those trails next spring. It is a location where we have 3 indoor events under special use permit that takes place here every year, has been for some number of years, that one dual sport event that uses the whole national forest, but it starts off in Stony Point. So we'll be looking to continue supporting those events next year, starting next spring. Also, the Grindstone District within Colusa County is home to 21 cabins under special use permit, the board camp, track board camp. That's they're near Let's Lake and just past spring. I just mentioned that kids are not aware of that. We do have private cabins on national forest on the special use permit. Many have been there for many, many years. Yeah, we just work.
Looking back that way, you know, there's kind of the northwest, all those cabins that are right up on that hill. My biggest is that one. That's all those cabins.
So it's not uncommon to have cabins on national forest under special use permits. They just have to abide by certain terms and conditions when on public land. That's what I was just mentioning that to you because you were not aware of the data is within Colusa County. Also, we are waiting to hear back from Sonoma County on the report they're putting together regarding the South Springs Youth Facility. I know that's an area that's been of interest and concern for many people since they shut down the youth facility. They are maintaining it just to keep things running in there, but minimal maintenance activity in there. What I will say is that Sonoma County did put together a brochure to try to market the facility for interested parties for a new special use permit. I don't know what the responses they have received since they started doing that. And in the meantime, they are conducting an environmental statement report just in case they proceed to decommissioning of the facilities. We the foresters have been open and are willing to have any conversation with any agency that might be interested in taking over that facility and the special use permit, provided it works with our forest plan, or doesn't conflict with the forest plan and the Forest Service mission. So I just thought I'd mention that as well to you all. And then also, I just also want to mention the Grindstone District is also a popular place, as I mentioned, in terms of the off-road vehicle activity, but it's also just for other recreation activity. It's a place of a 12 campground there in that southern part of the district in Colusa County, including the Let's Lake area, the South Springs. It's a very popular place. And we do really work hard to maintain those campgrounds so that when people visit, they have a good experience with a clean bathroom and stuff, cleaning tables and those kinds of things. In fact, this last Saturday, we had a volunteer project take place out in Stony Fort to install or reinstall about 300 of the rural tie barriers along the OHB trails down in the South Springs area. And many of the clubs, OHB clubs came out to help us out there. I was out there pounding away. I'm still sore from that. It was amazing to see the volunteers that went out there and help us out. So we're going to continue that on. We lost about 23,000 rural ties that were barriers along the trail systems from the mail fire. So we installed 300. So it's quite a bit of work out there to do. And as you know, it's also a popular place for hunting areas there, so we do provide a number of areas for dispersed camping. We are working on some other improvements there at the South Springs area for water systems. We have a water system that we installed, so we're now working on a treatment component, and that's, we just got awarded the contract, we just got awarded to do that work. With that, that was, it's quick and dirty update. The only other thing that I'll mention is that we are keeping an eye on what's going on at the state level in terms of the budget. Our OHV program is very dependent on those state grant monies from the state, and as you know, the state is in a budget crisis. So we're keeping a close eye on that funding, provides funding for a lot of our personnel to manage and maintain those OHV campgrounds and trail systems in the Gulf Springs area. So we'll be monitoring that. With that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
On the 12 cabin permits, are those new cabin applications?
21
I'm
cabins,
sorry.
21. Well, these are cabins that have been there for many, many years, and they're there under a 20-year permit system. And so they often will pass on their cabins to the next generation family, and we issue new permits whenever that takes place. Or if they sell their cabins to somebody else, they have to apply to us for a new permit to the new owner.
Have you denied any cabin permits up there, or have there been any issues with?
In the time that I've been here for about 5 years, I don't know of any permits that we've denied, any permits we've denied. In fact, it's been pretty good here on the Grandson District. Where I came from, well, kids would run into a situation where they're not paying their bills, they're not taking care of the facilities falling apart, where after a certain amount of time, if we get no responses, we basically take over the facility and remove it. But that hasn't occurred here, to my recollection.
You said there weren't going to be any timber sales coming out on this side this year?
No, we have no planned timber sales down in Colusa County this time. We have a planning team that looks out here, 5 years out, to look at where the opportunities and potential for timber salvage and the need for managing the resource out there. And we have nothing planned for this next fiscal year there. We can only do so much with the resources and funding that we get and the targets that are given to us. And so we look to see where those opportunities are at.
Is it an open application procedure? If someone wanted to take timber off, is there a time frame where people are allowed to, just like if they were applying for the special, the salvage, you opened it up and put that for a salvage timber?
Well, in terms of our timber sales, the foresters typically will initiate the areas that we identified that will require that type of treatment. And as part of that process, we engage the public as part of the NEPA process of engaging the public for input on those projects. And then when we're complete with the NEPA and we consider a contract package, we put it out for bid for timber companies to purchase or to bid on them. That's how that typically works. There are other ways for external proponents to propose projects to treat landscape. Gary's pretty much aware of some of the kind of stuff that takes place, whether it's your resource advisory committee, skirt funding to do hazard through reduction work, or even a biomass removal. But typically your large timber sales are going to be initiated by the foresters. Now they can't be initiated by the external, like stewardship contract type projects. It involves coordination with communities, organizations. We are planning to go into this new concept here next year in terms of initiating the process, what we call fire escape. And when Sherry, the new forest supervisor, was here earlier this year introducing herself, she might have mentioned fire escape to you all, you might recall. And it's going to be looking at larger landscape and looking at opportunities to not just deal with hazardous fuel and other opportunities, where the idea is that rather than doing a project by project basis, we got the NEPA, that we try to do it all in one large landscape for efficiency purposes. We have yet to see how that's going to work. I think a lot of us that are new to this concept are being optimistic And it'd be great if it could work, but it currently has been applied in other parts of the country, in the Southwest, and even down in Southern California. But those areas where we don't have a lot of big timber, we pulled out. And so this will be a little different. It'll be a test for us to see whether we can pull that off. But the interesting thing about this concept is it's going to engage our communities, our organizations. It's going to be an opportunity to get involved and be at the table more active than you typically see with our traditional timber sale approach.
So has the Forest Service ID'd any treatment areas on the Colusa County side for timber sales? Not just for this year, but for future years. So
we don't have any areas right now currently identified within our 5-year plan.
So that 5 years started which year?
We're looking at, our 5-year plan right now, we say we're looking out to about 2015. We don't have any plans up to 2015 in terms of actual timber sales within Colusa County at this time.
Do you, within the Mendocino, have any timber sales?
Yes, yes we do.
Where are the majority of?
I don't know how they're spread out throughout the entire forest. We do have some in Glenn County and Tama County, and then over on the west side of the mountain in Lake Mendocino County, but I'm not familiar with all the locations over on the west side. So again, it's looking at where the opportunities are at for not just getting some timber volume out, but also where you might have areas in proximity to communities or cabins, strategic approaches of how if you get a wildfire that comes across the landscape, that treatment might benefit in slowing down the fire. And so we're also looking at that standpoint where strategically to place these vegetation management projects. So
like for the salvage after the fire, like you said, you can go through an exemption process more than likely for that. When there's an emergency or when there's a fire like that, it's not part of the, like the mill fire, it's not part of the 2015, it's not part of the 5-year plan.
No, you're right. That was
no, I'm just asking for making sure I have it right in my head.
That wasn't part of the 5-year plan, but so that would be, so my apologies, I guess the question, the answer to your question would be that the salvage is the one where we would have some timber uplifts taking place within Colusa County in this next year.
When you're putting together your 5-year plan for treatment areas or timber sales, how far out do you start the process? Like if this one's going to expire in 2015, when would you start the process of?
We're looking at it every year, trying to look for opportunities. However, as I mentioned, that fire escape concept is going to, I think, take a slightly different approach, and I think that's something that's neat for us to see how that's going to work. This next year will be telling for us of how that's going to look in terms of how far out we're going to be looking at a larger landscape approach. So we don't have anything identified right now beyond 2015, specifically around for that type of treatment.
Well, with regards to that fire escape approach, I would most certainly hope that within that whole concept, we have the ability to do a salvage built into it, because occasionally you'll get a pocket of timber, get a little too hot, and now we've got dead trees, which is going to be counterproductive in 5 to 10 years of what we're trying to do. You know, we're trying to get rid of the ground fuels, and dead trees die, they fall down, they become ground fuel. And the way to eliminate that is total removal from the site. So I would hope that it gets built into this understory, this burning concept. I'm all for burning, I'm all good with that, but that isn't the only piece of the puzzle that needs to be made here.
No, I agree with you, Gary. I think this, the mill salvage, it's kind of an example where we have dead and dying trees out there, and we're going to be probably more trees that may not appear to be dead right now are going to die, and we're going to see pockets of fields. And that's why we took industry out there to get some feedback from what they saw opportunity-wise out there where timber did burn up along that southern ridge country and so forth. And you know, there's plenty of timber out there that could be salvaged. It could go to a mill if we cut it right now or real soon. But they're looking at it from the liability standpoint. And what we did in terms of opportunity for cost for salvaging and hauling and those kinds of things, what we did hear from them is that there is opportunities there, in particular along the major roads where the fire came up into that timber.
Okay, on this salvage, are we, I would hope we're including everything over 28 inches that's dead in that too. And we're not putting blinders on and that tree doesn't exist.
DVH limitations.
There is none.
We're not creating, no.
Well, they're created.
No, we don't have limitations on the size of trees. We get pressure sometimes from our environmental community to limit
Pressure is what we call it, okay.
You know what I'm saying, we feedback, think about during the environmental planning process. And we have.
Feedback.
Yeah, feedback, thank you. We've been pretty successful in pushing back. We don't support a limit on deviation. There's no science behind it. And so we don't create that. We've always avoided that. That's one area that we push back on when we were asked to provide a deviation limitation, a diameter at rest height limitation of over like 22 inches, 20 inches, whatever it tends to be, for whatever reason. There's no science behind that, so we've never done that.
No, there's no science, there's just a lot of emotion.
That, you know.
Correct.
Yeah.
Behind it, on all sides.
In the mill fire, how much of it was timber versus, brush?
Oh gosh, I don't have the acres, but the majority of it was non-timber. Those I chop out there. I'm not sure in terms of acres that was timber. What we will say, what I can say is that there had been some fuel reduction work that had taken place along the M5 road on that ridge some years ago, where a good number of trees were removed, and the fire slowed down and even stopped in some of those areas. And it demonstrated that fuel work, when you reduce it to a certain level, it can be effective as a fuel break, where other areas that receive less treatment, but also receive treatment, actually burn the stand. For this particular salvage, we're probably looking at, in order to get out as quick as possible those trees that still have the opportunity of value in the mill, is try to do a 250 acre category solution type. Otherwise, when you go through the other environmental assessment process, it's more lengthier process. And we were successful in the M9 and Log Springs projects in Tillamook County, which were using two different types of category solutions to streamline the process. And we were actually recommended by the American Forest Resource Council during our field trip a couple weeks ago, Rick's Village, for producing a timber sale in record time on Mendocino, which was in less than a year. And we put it through a fast track. We have a category to do it now. Now it's a mitigation, but I don't think it would matter whether it was an EA or a CE. And so we're looking at a similar opportunity for the salvage over here to try to get it out. We can't predict what's going to happen, what the current will do. We just hope that we can do something that will be attractive to a timber community to bid on and purchase.
Last year, when we went back to DC, we met with new undersecretary, and I want to say he was from New Mexico. I apologize, I can't remember his name.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch.
Last year when we were in DC, we met with one of the new undersecretaries at USDA Forest Service.
Oh, okay.
And he was from New Mexico, and I apologize, I can't remember his name. And he came from tribal lands as well. So it was really interesting to see his frustration with the process, with the NEPA process and the litigation and the unofficial guidance that was being used. It was really unique. So you have somebody who's now paying attention to the West, who feels that same headbutting that we've felt all these years, and he really seemed open to talking about how we could be more creative in approaching this, because this is the first time he, coming to the tribal grounds, he had to deal with a lot of these type of issues that he'd never had to deal with before. He was really shocked as to how many roadblocks were thrown up along the way, just from a paperwork standpoint. So you definitely have someone there who's interested in addressing that.
And we work with other agencies. There's one environmental group that we have a pretty good relationship with. Not that they haven't challenged us in the past, they have, in litigation, a few years ago. But since then, they've been pretty receptive to our work, and we're getting to be engaged in what we're doing pretty much the field and show what we're trying to achieve out there. And they're one organization that would prefer we cut smaller trees, but they haven't yet really challenged us when we don't concede to that request or input. And so we get any challenges on these projects up in St. County from this particular environmental group. This is not far from here over on the west side, on our kid area. But then there's another group from they're out of the state, Conservation Congress. They've been challenging us. They've been challenging other projects in northern part of the state. Two of the lawsuits, the foresters did prevail in those two. We have yet to see how this one plays out. But I feel really good about the work that we did. Very defensible, science-based work. So I'm hopeful that we'll do this.
Sounds good.
Just make sure you keep us included when you start the fire escape process.
We'll do that.
I mean, I'm sure Gary, but I don't know why I said that. Gary will be back here to table everything, so it won't be optional.
Yeah, we'll keep you informed, and I'll come to the office if you'd like to get a brief update. Thank you very much for your time.
You can pass on to the supervisor, we're looking forward to being at the table during the travel management planning process as well with our transportation commission.
You do that. Whenever we have anything that's being proposed, in fact, I'm hoping to have the board is on our mail list for the schedule of proposed action. Do you know here or
the SOPAs?
Yeah.
You get them?
Oh, okay.
I've seen them.
Okay. Well, I want to make sure that's one tool for later in advance what are things that we're planning for in the future, including like these kind of updates and the interaction that we have with Gary, frequent interaction with Gary of what's going on in the district, so that if there's anything there that I'm concerned or we have interest to, we're talking to you early and upfront about those kinds of things.
When's the travel management plan start?
Well, we, on Mendocino, we took a different approach some years ago. I think you're aware of it. We, like not unlike other forests, where they went into the travel management process, where they began to propose maybe incorporating into their road system or trail system other roads and trails that maybe were not part of the system, and have that public involvement process where then you have different perspectives coming into play and challenging some of those proposals. We had just incorporated what we had on the road and trail system in our maps. And said this is, because even before we went into that, before travel management, we really had a policy in place, or regulations in place that anybody that was traveling off designated trails or roads was in violation of the regulations. And so we always had that in place. So when this came about, we didn't change anything, we kept it as it is. So we didn't go through that whole process that other forests did and some of the challenges they're facing. So what we did was, if there are any proposals for new roads or new trails, we'll put on a case-by-case basis. So as an example, after I arrived, and so one of we call it the end. It's basically a map that shows all our roads and trails, and that's our legal document. And say that's where you can drive or ride your motorcycle and so forth. So it's a legal document. It's been there for some time. That if there is any new roads or trails that we're proposing or removal, then we're going to engage our communities through the NEPA process. We had one request that came in soon after I arrived as the district ranger from a club, motorcycle club. They wanted to build a new single track trail, build a bridge area. And so, they were waiting for this opportunity because they were involved in that earlier process there that we were looking at our travel system there, and where we need to take into account or incorporate any new proposals. We say we're going to go with what we have in the system, and then once we kind of get to that, we'll entertain new trails and new roads, whatever the case may be. And so they did that, and we submitted a proposal to the state for funding to do the analysis for that new trail system. And in fact, we're doing that. We started that process in the mill fire came about, and basically burned that area where that new trail was being proposed. We've been working with that club to see whether that's something they still want to pursue. We got it on hold right now. But my point being was that we were open to the idea of the motorized trail road system from our public. That was the first one that's come to us. The time that I was here, it's the only one that's come to us.
So since you did that process, are you saying that you didn't remove any roads or trails between the last document and the document that you have now?
The time that I've been here, we haven't done any road decommissioning. The only thing that we do is if it's an illegal trail, for example, we will deal with those for resource protection purposes. The legal document that we use what our roads and trails are, that in them. And as we probably know too, there's other trails that exist out there that were created by others. And those are not covered by the NDEM. We have the ability to go ahead and restore those areas to their natural setting whenever we have the ability to do that. And that's all based on funding resources to get to them.
But Mendocino still has to adopt a travel management plan, so you're going to take the same approach as next time and just leave all the roads that are on the book?
Well, what I'm saying is that we really had one in place, but it was simply adopting what we had before without any changes to it. I think that's the reason why when we went through that process, meetings, I wasn't here when that part took place. You can see that the challenges or concerns on the museum that you're seeing in other forests in the state, that they were proposing they commission that road or these roads or these trails or whatever, and we avoided that. Some forests have taken that approach in the country. It's a way to upfront. Let's just adopt what we currently have in the system, and then let's talk about any new trails or roads or decommission on a case-by-case basis.
And you see that's what we're probably going to be doing in this next year as well. You see that as the future.
That's going to be our future, and really the way things work is funding dictates what we are able to take on. If there's like road decommission, for example. And we know that's really important to our communities, and we will engage our communities whenever we're proposing those kinds of activities early on, including the boards. That's something we do hear from. We heard it from the Colusa County Fish and Game Advisory Committee or Council just a couple weeks ago when Sherry and I went to commission. Thank you. Paid the visit, and we got some feedback on not only the no fire closure, but in general access to a public land. We know that's important.
Along with the decommissioning or the removal of roads, just the striking of the skin off of the map, the 1.5 car lengths has been a big heartache for most forests. Road, and it's a designated road. If your vehicle is found more than 1.5 car lengths off of that road, you get a ticket. It was designed to keep you from driving across the prairies and everything else. It's no bueno.
Occasionally people do get cited for being off the trail or off the road, when they're impacting the period. There's a reason for it. The concern is there's some resources out there.
Right, we've had those closures in place since the 70s, into the meadows and the glades, because the motorcycles were tearing to pieces back then. But common sense has to take over.
Yeah, after that's the law enforcement officers have to be out there, and they're the ones that are.
And that's right, they don't have the force anymore. Okay.
Stop.
All right.
If yours getting fired up, I'll stop back.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
All righty. One final piece of business before we adjourn. We can just deal with the claims registers.
Move specials.
Second.
Moved by Dan, second by Marshall. Any discussion on specials? Roll call.
Supervisors Andrew.
Aye.
Carter. Aye. Dan.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
And Evans.
Aye, that's 5-0. Regulars. Moved by Carter,
Second.
second by Marshall. Any questions on that? Roll call.
Supervisors and jury. Carr. Van.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
And Evans.
Aye, pass 401. We will take a recess and reconvene downstairs in 10 minutes. Here are all second items, beginning with item A.
Thank you.
So,
Good night. Good night.